So today we are going to create an assembly of our puzzle cube. Once you have all your parts finished, you'll be able to do the assembly. One thing I just want to point out at the beginning is you want to make sure you save your assembly in the same folder as your individual parts. Make sure all your parts are in the same folder as well. I'll remind you about that again at the end of the video. So to get started, we will create a new file. And this time we want a standard IAM assembly file. So I'll open that up. And then we need to pull in our part files. Now I usually do that one at a time. To pull in a part file, you use this command here, the place command. And so I will click on that, and that will open up for me, go straight into the folder with my puzzle cube parts, because this was the last folder I had open in inventor. If it doesn't go straight to the folder that you have your part files in, then you would search for it here as usual. It should be in your iDrive. So I'm going to start by pulling in the blue piece. It doesn't really matter which one you open, but you'll just choose a piece and left click to place it in there. Now for the first piece and the first piece only, you want to ground it. So to ground that first piece, you're going to right click on it and choose grounded. That anchors this part down and gives you basically one piece that's anchored for you to attach all your other pieces to. So now that I have that inserted and anchored, I'm going to place a second piece, which for me is going to be the orange piece. Again, I'm just picking this because looking at my solution, I know these two pieces touch each other. And so it's a logical second one to do. So at this point, since blue is anchored, if I try to drag it and move it around, I can't, but the orange I can still move around freely. For the cube, there are basically just two commands that we need to build this assembly, since it's such a simple parts and they're all square. So to connect them, you're going to use this constrain command. Once again, if you hover over, it gives you a help menu. There are lots of different options. There are different types of constraints and different subtypes within that. But for this, we are going to only need the one that uses faces. So this first command here, what it calls a mate, what that is doing is it is connecting faces. It's using constraints based on the faces of the object. There are two solutions. One is the mate, and that basically glues the two faces together. So if I were to do that, say that face and that face, you can see it brings the two faces and sticks them together. The other face constraint, which again this calls mate, is the flush. And that will pull the two faces side by side. So if I were to say do that with, so I've got the flush right there. I do that with this and this, you can see that now the one part's going through the other, but these two faces that I selected are flat with each other. They're level with each other. Now, neither one of those is the way I actually want this part arranged. So I'm going to go ahead and try to attach this the way I want. Now, one option is to use the free rotate and the free move to kind of position your part close to the way you want it. So I kind of want my part like this, and it's going to be sitting up there like that. And so that kind of gets it into position close so that it's easier for me to see which faces I need to click on to make this thing attached. But I don't actually have to do that. I'll come back to that in a second. So I could go ahead now that I can see pretty well what I need to do. I know that I want this mated to that, and that's kind of set. And then I'd hit apply. Now I'm going to undo that and just show you that while it's helpful to get it rotated around, you don't have to do it. Usually the way I do it is I can see that I need this face here glued to that face there, And so I just simply do it here and then here, and it rotates the part around for me. So if you can visualize it, that's probably the better way to do it. If you can't visualize it, go ahead and use a free move and free rotate to get the part close and then constrain it. I'm going to hit apply on that. And now I know I want these two faces flat with each other. So I'm going to switch over to the flush and I'm going to hit both of those and it'll pull them in flat. Hit apply. And I look around and I can see I want these two faces back here flat with each other. And so I'm going to do another flush right there and hit apply. And now that is fully constrained. If I hit cancel here, now that since the blue is grounded and the orange is fully constrained to it, if I try to grab it and pull it, it won't move off. Okay, so you would just continue this with each of your additional pieces. After you finish one, you'd go to place and you could pull in another piece and continue on with this pattern. When you're completely done with your assembly, you'll want to save that. And once again, make sure you save it in the same folder with all your part files. If you have any questions, please let me know in class. And that is it for this video.